Hi, this is Sharon Thompson with Peace Incorporated's Free Tax Prep. Tonight, we're going to have Brittany, and we're part of the Cash Coalition of United Way. We are going to go on a practice lab for the basic certification. I'm going to start out by sharing our screen, and then Brittany's going to jump on and go ahead and walk you through doing a basic exam. But we're doing a practice lab first. So welcome to the practice lab. We also want to offer that since we here at Peace Incorporated, we're at 1201 East Fayette Street. We have double monitor computer set up. So it's kind of nice to have a reference computer while you're taking your test. So if you want to come and take your test here, please feel welcome. Please call us at 315-634-3756. We just will be doing that on Mondays and Fridays because Brittany will be here to help walk you through things. And not only that, we are not having regular tax drop off at the time. So it's a little quieter and you'll be able to have a little bit more of a time to yourself to practice on the lab, but utilize our computers. I'm going to switch it over to Brittany and let you go. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and have a good day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brittany. I'm going to be starting off with showing you guys how to get to Lincoln or Learn. So bring up we use Google Chrome. It's the easiest for us. A lot of our accounts are associated through Gmail, and it has a tendency to work a little bit better. So if you go into your search engine and type Link and Learn home and just hit enter. It'll bring you up and just click on the first one, which is Link and Learn Home. It brings you to where you're going to actually be taking your test as well. On the left-hand side, this is where you would normally sign in and use your password. That's where you're going to find all your basic and advanced testing. So actually, this is the left-hand side for me. Right-hand side over here is going to be where you're going to find Practice Lab. We're going to click on Practice Lab. Now, this is where you're going to type in Train Pro Web, all in uppercase. And hit login, which it did not go through for some reason. No, it's on. There we go. Now, I have an account already set up. If you do not have an account, it'll ask you to create an account. This is where you're going to set up a username and password to get into your practice lab. You're going to need this to take your test as well. That's where you're going to create an account. For tonight, we're going to use mine. Mine is just not working. No, it's not letting me in for some reason.
Try it again.
Yeah, it's not letting me in.
You can go in on mine if you can't.
Yeah.
Give it another shot.
Sorry about that. There we go. So we're just going to click here that says Practice Home. Go to Practice Area. This is what it looks like when you bring up TaxSlayer. And that's the system that we use to prepare taxes. You're going to start new return for new client.
We're going in 20 if you want to do for
Oh yeah. Yep. So we're gonna hit change tax year because we are gonna do 2020. So you guys can see the state tax return portion. This year they didn't do it in 2021, so we're gonna do 2020 and change the year. And then we're gonna hit select. So this one we have the practice return B. We did send the link out for that, so if you could just find that for us, that would be great. That's the link that we're gonna be using to prepare the tax return tonight, and it'll help you follow along as well. So the first thing is normally you would have an ID and a social security card in front of you, and that will help you prepare the tax return and start the tax return. In this case, the tax return was already printed out for you, which is at the end. It's past the documents and the 13614C, which is the intake. And we're just gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last 4 on his was 1, 2, 4, 2. And it looks like they just have the 0, 0 in the middle. So just do the 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 4, 2, and that will get you in. So you're going to click Start Return. And I did have, before we go any further, I did put a form together that was also emailed in a link. Right, it says Practice Lab login. This is the PDF that was sent to your emails. This also shows you step by step on how to get in and what you need to do to get into the Practice Lab on Lincoln Learn. Back to the tax return now. We are going to do Shrug Fisher. We are going to figure out his filing status. He was widowed, but she passed away in 2017. So he would be considered single. We're going to hit continue. This is where we type in all his personal information. So you're going to type in Shrug Fisher. As you see, his social security was already generated because that's how we started the return. We're going to put his date of birth, which you will find on the 13614C, which is the intake review sheet. And his date of birth is 6/11/1952. So you're just going to scroll down until you see 1952. Right next to his birthday, it tells you, it says your job title. That's his occupation, and he is retired. Now, this is where, let's say, you know, a student was, or somebody who was trying to do their taxes. If they were a dependent on somebody else's return, this is where you would click. The taxpayer is blind. This is also where you would choose, or let's say in this case, his wife was deceased, but it was in 2017. But if she died in the tax year, this is where you would put that the taxpayer or the taxpayer spouse was deceased. We're going to scroll down. Okay. Okay, and it does say that he is legally blind, so we are going to put the taxpayer is blind. We're going to scroll down and put in his address, which we'll use our address here at 1201 East Fayette Street. And then just put your phone number in there, as it is a practice lab and you're the only one that will be seeing this. And hit continue. Now, this is for New York City residents only. If they are not a resident of New York City, just hit no. As long as they don't have a different address than the permanent one on their tax return, you're also going to hit no. This is for New York. We have to put the county in which they reside, which would be Onondaga, in the school district. The reason the school district is important is the school district does get funding. They go off the tax return and get the funding for how many people live in the area. So you're going to scroll down and go to Syracuse and hit continue. Shug has no dependents, which you would find on the 13614C. And he does not have any, so we're going to click no. So this is the stimulus payments that you're going to also run into in 2021. For the first one, let me see, did he receive all of them? This would be found on the second page in part 5, question 10. He did receive them. So we're going to click, I received my stimulus payment first round. And that was $1,200 for each adult. And then $600 for the second one for each adult. And the second one was $600 for everyone. We are going to hit continue. And this brings us to our main page. This is where you're going to find all of your documents to begin the tax return. To make this a little bit easier and what you will need, you can go up to their name instead of trying to scroll through this and find it. Click down on the arrow and do quick file. It's going to ask you if you really want to quick file. Of course we do. I'm not sure why they asked that. Just click yes. And you're going to type in the forms that he has. So Shug has a 1099 SSA, and you're just going to click this. All right, and then he also has a pension. So we're going to put a 1099 R and also add this. So now that we have his income in, we're just going to go ahead and hit continue. Go ahead and hit continue. This automatically brings you to your first form, which is the Social Security benefit. You're going to go ahead and look at how much he received in box 5, which is $26,000. You're going to go ahead now and look at box 6. If the taxpayer didn't have anything withheld, it's not mandatory. In this case, he did. And we'll explain why in a minute. He did have Medicare taken out, which it does look like he had $1,259. You're going to enter that amount. There's no dollar signs, periods, explanation points, nothing like that, just whole numbers. Let's say the amount was $26,178.90. You're just going to round up or round down to the nearest dollar. Go ahead and hit continue. Now it brings us to the 1099-R, which is his retirement. This is all found in the Practice B lab that was sent to you. This is the payer's ID, which is found usually underneath the address, and it says payer's federal identification number. In this case, it's 146020869. We are now going to go to the payer's name, which is the New York State and local employees retirement. We're going to go down and fill in the address, which is 110 State Street. And the zip code is 12244. And that automatically generates where the city, the town, or the post office is located. The phone number is optional. Sometimes they do put the phone number, sometimes they don't. It's not really necessary. So now that we have who the payer's ID is, we are now going to go over to box 1, which is the gross distribution. It looks like he received 30,000. So we're going to put 30,000. That's 30,000. Click out of the box and it automatically autofills the taxable amount. We're going to scroll down and it doesn't look like we need to check either box for 2A and it's not a capital gain. So we're going to go straight to federal income tax withheld. That's going to be 3,000. We're going to enter that, click out of the box, keep on going down. Our next box that is needed is the distribution code, which is 7. You're just going to follow each box on the form. It doesn't look like 9A or 9B have anything in it. Now we're going to go to the state and local information. We're going to hit please select. Scroll down to New York because that's the state we live in. Click out of the box and it'll auto generate the ID for New York. Now we're going to look at box 14. There's nothing there. And that's because pensions are not taxable in New York State. That's why it says exempt. We'll show you that in a minute on how to get the pension exempt. Now they're going to ask if this was a qualified disaster, and it was not. So we're going to hit no. And then we're just going to hit continue now that we're done filling it in. Which one?
99.
Where is it? Yep. And it does look like we do have another one. No, I don't have it.
Underneath the first one.
No, I don't have it. Sorry about that. Mine didn't print out the second one. There is 2 1099Rs. So we're going to go back into add income form. And then we will go into the 1099R right here, hit edit. Go ahead and hit edit again. And just add a form. This is going to be the second one that he received, which is another pension, which is a new payer ID. So we're going to then again look for the payer ID number, which is 146020869. We're going to add the information. Oh, wait, I lied. This one is 73. I'm sorry, I read the other one. 7322558885. And it auto-filled who it was. As I said, the phone number is optional. We are going to go to the gross distribution was 15,000. Got out the box. He did have, we're going to scroll down following the boxes. 2B, there was nothing checked. 3, there was nothing there. 4 is the federal income, which is $1,500. We're going to keep following the boxes. 5, nothing. 6, nothing. 7 is the distribution code 7. 9A and 9B have nothing there. We're gonna go down and do New York State again. Scroll until you see New York, click out of the box that autofills. And tax withheld was 1,000. He did have taxes. We're gonna hit continue. This also was not a qualified disaster. So we're gonna hit no. And continue. And then continue again. And continue. Now we're gonna scroll to the bottom. And hit continue. This is for if we wanted to add any forms because we did the quick e-file. If there's nothing else that we're missing, we are going to now hit continue. So it does look like he did have charitable contributions. So we're gonna go back and go down to continue down here. And we are going to look for charitable contributions, which is under itemized deductions, and we're going to begin. So charitable contributions can only be cash payments. This year they are allowing check, but it is up to only $300 because he is a single person. So now gifts to charity begin. Cash gifts to charity. So now we can put the name of who he did it to. And in this case, it was United Way. Description, cash. The donation date, we will put today and last year's date. And how much it was for, which was $70. We'll hit continue. Now we'll add another one because he did contribute more to the firefighter department. So we're gonna say local fire department. And it only allows you so many characters. So you may find that you're gonna have to, it's gonna read wrong because it only allows so many, so that's okay. You're gonna do a cash donation, today's date, and then just hit 2020. And he contributed $40 to them. So we're gonna type 40 in and just hit continue. So that looks like all there is. Yep. We're gonna go to hit continue. We're gonna come down and hit continue. This is everything that you're gonna do in yours. There's nothing else that really needs to be done. You don't have any other forms. You're gonna just keep on clicking continue until you get to the state. So this is the healthcare insurance. You did not need healthcare. The only time that you would click yes is if it's a 1095A. It's no. Go ahead and continue. So this is the state return. We do need to go in here. So we're going to go edit. And does the person have a pension exclusion? Yes. So we're going to put the full amount, 45,000. The computer automatically calculates how much of his. Yep. 30 here. And the 15 under here. One has to go here for the one pension, the other one has to go here for the second. And this does calculate, even though it is 45,000, it does calculate that he is gonna owe in taxes. And we'll see that in a minute here. He did not live in New York City, so we hit no. Permanent home address, different than the other, no. So nothing else is needed in here. So we're gonna go down and hit exit New York return. After that, you're gonna see that it's calculating over here, his AIG, federal, state, hit continue. So it calculated all of his withholdings. This is where you can do a quick overview if you'd like, see, if he's single, age 68, his name, his address. And this is where you're gonna find his social security benefits, his taxable amount. And if you keep on scrolling, you'll see the contributions we put in, how much his standard deduction is, his adjustment to income, and then his taxable income down here. Keep on going down. We're going to hit continue. Now, this is where you're going to select how the client wants their tax return. So you're on the 13614C. You're going to look, and this one doesn't. Okay. Okay. This one, it looks like on the front with your practice return that he does want a paper check. So we're going to select e-file paper check. This is also where if they want a direct deposit, you would click e-file direct deposit, but in this case, he wants a paper check. We are going to hit next. Now, this just tells you that we do taxes for free. We don't charge anything. This is the taxpayer's PIN. This is important because later on, they do have to consent for us in order to file. And this is a specific generated code for the IRS to see that they're allowing us to do that. You can write it down or you can just highlight it and copy it in this case because there's only one person. So go ahead and hit next. The same thing here for the state. You're gonna hit e-file paper check. This is also if they want a direct deposit, you would hit e-file direct deposit. This is not anything that you have to fill in, so you can just hit next. This is what I was talking about, the consent. You're gonna scroll down and the taxpayer consents. We're gonna click it and put in that taxpayer ID. Just hit paste and it comes in. The date would have to be 01/27/2020 because that's the year we're doing. This would be if there's a spouse, you would have to put the spouse's PIN in and the date. Hit next. Just hit yes. Prefer not to answer on that one. That's nothing. You can just hit next. This is the taxpayer ID information. We do not have a license for him, so we're just going to hit no driver's license or state ID. And then that ends, that ends the e-file section. Okay. Okay, so for a summary for this, Ralph wanted me to mention to you guys that he feels that New York State is a good place for retirees as pensions are usually not taxable in our state. Some states they are. So thankfully, New York State is one of those states that are not. So they don't usually owe on, unless their spouse has a job, they don't owe on state. We do encourage everybody to make charitable donations to organizations only because it does help with tax liability. It is a credit, it does help lower your tax liability. Also, Ralph wanted me to mention that he chose to take his social security at the age of 62. He has other income, which his social security is partially taxable. And this is because after 20,000 on social security, it becomes taxable in New York State. They do tax it, but in his case, he did have taxes taken out in state and federal. So it helped him and it covered what he may have owed on the state portion of his taxes. I'm not seeing if there's any questions. If there's any questions at this time, you can write them in the chat and just let me know. All right, I did want to go through, and now that we have gone through the practice lab, we're just going to hit save, which is it's unable to e-file. This is a practice lab. So we're just going to log out and end our session. And it'll bring you back to the access link. That's where you would put the Train Pro web, get back in. So now I did want to go through a few things tonight. Like I said, I did send and make how to log into your practice lab. This is important. This will give you step-by-step on how to do it. That way there's no confusion on whether if you're logging in to take your test or if you're getting into your practice lab. The second one that I did was a non-filers, no income form. This is what we were talking about last time, about how the CTC credit this year is available to anybody, even those that don't have income. They can claim that advanced child tax care credit, the full amount, and receive it this year. This is also a step-by-step on how to do this on the tax return. That way you can e-file their tax return and have it put into a bank account. If you don't put this in, they will reject it because there is no income. So it's very important to follow these steps and have that $1 put up as income. The next thing that I did do was I did a New York State tips and guidelines for you guys. Now, most of these questions, when they fill out their forms, there's a TP 301, which is a New York State intake. The one thing that people are getting wrong is question number 5. It's extremely confusing. It says, they ask if the taxpayer or the taxpayer spouse in parentheses were a resident of New York State all year. Most people just see, oh, I don't have a spouse. They mark no. They don't read the taxpayer and or the taxpayer spouse. It needs to be yes. If it's not yes, that's when you would go in for a different, you would take out New York State and change it to the state that they were in. But that doesn't happen very often. So it's not something you would run across very often. But this needs to be yes, that they were a resident in New York State to get the credit. You will also find all of the credits and deductions that I mentioned in a minute on the TP 301, your retirement pension. So this is, your pension is taxable if you're under the age of 59 and a half. It does tell you to qualify for a pension annuity exclusion of up to $20,000. There's also a disability income exclusion. I haven't come across many of these. I've maybe done 3, 4 in the past 4 years that I've been doing this. So this is probably something that you're not going to come across. But it is there so that way you do know what, the liabilities and the criteria that they need to meet. Down below is the college tuition form IT 272. Who is eligible? This tells you who can get the college credit in New York State. You need to be a New York State resident. You have to be, 18 and be in an institution of higher education. then if you then it goes into the qualified tuition expenses. This is what they consider to be qualified tuition. Can't use, you know, that they lived on campus and lived in a dorm and they had meal plans and they had a parking pass. That's not qualified expenses. It gives you the deduction amount for New York State. If you go down, this is the renter's credit. It's extremely hard to get in New York State, but it's worth a try, especially if the person's extremely low income. Unfortunately, if they have like their utilities included, it's a form of public housing. They're on any type of state assistance, they won't get this. They have to be paying the amount themselves. This is for homeowners. They also can get a credit. It goes through how they get the refundable credit, what form you're going to use. They do need to have their STAR credit. It's a paper that they receive. We need the numbers off that for the year so that we're able to put that in, and it's a $350 or $250 credit. The maximum is $350. This year we are seeing a few more people getting it than before, but this one is as well in previous years hard to get. Now this is child support credit. You're going to find a lot of dads that come in and they pay child support, some moms as well. And they want to claim the credit, which is in New York State under other credits, and it's the non-custodial credit. As long as they have paid their child support and they are not in the arrears, you go in there, you put the child's name, their birthday, and you answer the questions accordingly. And then they get a credit based off their income. And then the last one is New York State firefighter credit, IT 245. Who is eligible? You are entitled to claim this credit if you are an active volunteer firefighter or ambulance worker. So if you do volunteer at a local fire department, they will give you your badge, and you come in and you can get the credit, which is worth $200, $400 if you're married. This actually helps, especially if the person does owe, it will help with the tax liability. The last one here is the basic test questions. We did send this out. We did revise it a little bit and add a few more publications in and ask, questions of how does it affect the standard deduction. This will help you with your basic test. The test questions do match up to each scenario. So one, this is where you're going to find relatively where you can find the answer. This is so you're not flipping through all the pages and getting frustrated. This is just a guide to help you find those answers. And then we're back to how to log into the practice lab, which I explained in the beginning. So if that is all and there is no more questions, I do believe we went through the practice lab in full. And then what we can do is have Meredith or Sharon, if there's questions afterwards, they can get in contact with me. It looks like I do want to put my information out there. I'm going to email it out to everyone. That way
You can stop
you want me to
stop the sharing,
Okay.
and you can put it in the chat.
Okay, chat. Where is it?
Okay, Sharon, it's still just me as a viewer, so maybe we could just attach her contact info to
Okay.
all of the places that we send this out, if you're comfortable with that, Brittany.
Sure. So you
yeah,
can
I'm
do-
completely okay with that. I'm gonna get my personal email out because I can't get into Peace's email outside of Peace.
You know what you could do? If you want, Brittany, I can give
Hold on,
you
let's
the,
stop recording.
yeah.
And then we'll talk about this. So hit that little stop button
Okay.
and